Raising a child can be the most rewarding and yet the most challenging experience of your life. Protecting your baby from harm is one of your primary concerns, but this is a serious health threat that exists within your own home. It happens to everyone, rich or poor, educated or not. Everyone gets frustrated by crying babies at some point. But you must never, never, never shake a baby.
Shaken baby syndrome is a non-accidental form of brain injury that occurs in a child who gets shaken. And usually they're shaken by a parent or a caretaker who becomes frustrated when the child won't stop crying.
The brain is moving around in the skull because there's space to move, and that's causing the brain to get a decrease in oxygen, a decrease in the blood flow to the very important cells of the brain, and that results in swelling of the brain.
Babies are more likely to have these injuries occur to them because their heads are very large, especially compared to the rest of their body. And they have weak neck muscles, so it makes their heads more likely to flop around when they're shaken.
If you would imagine the Tupperware as being the skull of a baby, the white of the egg being the fluid that surrounds the brain, and the yolk of the egg being the brain itself, it's very easy to understand what's going on with shaken babies. Normally, as babies or infants are playing, their heads are moving a little bit, and they're going up and down, and they're having a lot of fun. And as you can see, the yolk of the egg is perfectly intact. Obviously, there are occasions where infants or children are going to have accidents. They may fall and actually hit the floor. Sometimes infants may accidentally roll off a couch and hit their head, and again, you have an incident where the head will hit the floor in a firm fashion. But usually in those cases, we'll see swelling of the scalp outside the hard skull, but we won't see any evidence when we look at the brain of any injury. With the shaken baby, when the caregiver gets frustrated and loses their temper, and they think that perhaps shaking the baby by holding the baby under the arms might quiet the baby down, which is a big mistake, we see a much different picture. So if a parent gets mad and they do a little shake there, and then 5 minutes later they may get mad again and they shake like this, what we usually see is something a lot different. You can see now that you have what looks like almost scrambled eggs.
Generally, you can think about it in the rule of threes, and about a third of kids are going to die. A third of the kids are going to be severely injured, meaning they may have learning disabilities, they may have seizures, other medical problems, and a third of them will probably do okay.
Not very good odds. So how could anyone ever shake a baby? The answer may be as simple as failing to plan ahead for moments of frustration.
It's actually very normal for a parent to get frustrated or extremely frustrated at times when their infant is crying.
Babies cry for a number of reasons. The most important reason is that because it's a baby's form of communication. It's how a baby lets us know that there's something going on and that they need attention.
The crying that they have is different types of crying. I mean, they can cry if they're hungry, crying if they're tired.
It's normal for babies to cry, and it's normal for parents to get very, very frustrated and not know what to do.
It's not an easy thing. You're very tired at times.
It's very normal for your heart rate to go up and for you to get stressed as you start to realize that morning is coming around and that you're sleep deprived. So it's very important to have some tools in place to deal with a crying infant.
Feeling frustrated with a crying baby is not unusual, but how you choose to react can mean the difference between life and death.
Anytime a parent feels themselves becoming frustrated or angry with their child, they need to take a break. And that means, either handing the child off to another adult caretaker, if there is one available. If the parent is alone, they need to put the child in a safe place and walk away, walk out of the room, and just calm down a little bit.
If you leave your baby crying in a safe place for a few minutes while you get yourself under control, you are not going to cause irreversible damage because you didn't go in and pick your baby up immediately. Sometimes you just need to do that.
Call a friend or a relative outside of the house and ask them whether they can come over and perhaps help them deal with their crying baby.
It's important for parents to realize that they can call their pediatrician and they need to talk to their child's doctor about what to do when their child starts crying and can't stop. And it's also important for parents to make sure that absolutely everyone that takes care of their child knows to never ever shake a baby.
Tell everyone who cares for your child to never shake a baby.
So what can you do when your baby won't stop crying?
Think about why your baby's crying. When was the last time the baby ate? Does the baby need its diaper changed? Does the baby just want to be held? Does the baby need to be in a different position because it's a little bored? Some babies just like white noise. You hear stories about babies who fall asleep to the vacuum or under a ceiling fan. Baths for some babies will help calm a baby down if you take all the clothes off the baby and swaddle the baby. So that they're nice and contained and feel safe, and then you can put the baby into the bath water that way. It seems to be much more comforting than if you just put the baby in the tub, and for some babies this really is a very relaxing time for them. This is a sling to carry a baby around, and this is something that many families swear by. Just a way to carry your baby around and have the baby close to you, and have your hands free so that you can get stuff accomplished. And some families say that this is what finally changed their relationship with their baby. This is what finally did it for them.
I think for a young father, I think the biggest thing you need to have is patience. The baby didn't come here on its own. You brought the baby into this world, and it's your responsibility now. And I think as a parent, you should try to do the best you can to protect them and take care of them.
I think the most important thing to remember is that a crying baby does not mean you're a bad parent. Because you can't calm your baby down does not mean that you are a bad parent. Sometimes babies just need to cry.
This is a precious time. Don't let a moment of frustration turn into a lifetime of regret.
It takes strength to be gentle.